It's time for another wrestling news update as Kenny Omega talks Brock Lesnar and is Conor McGregor about to make a jump to WWE. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, WWE have announced their first ever non-pro wrestling documentary produced for the WWE network. Heaven will tell the story of Heaven Fitch, who is the first female athlete to win a boys' state wrestling championship in North Carolina. The show will air on Sunday, March 7th and will be narrated by WWE Hall of Famer Beth Phoenix. WWE released a press statement which read, "For the first time, WWE Network Documentaries will expand its award-winning storytelling beyond the world of sports entertainment when it presents Heaven, a new documentary premiering Sunday, March 7th. Heaven tells the story of a trailblazing high school wrestler named Heaven Fitch. In 2020, as a junior, Fitch became the first female athlete to win a boys' state wrestling championship in North Carolina, claiming the top spot in the 106-pound weight class. The film documents her inspirational journey up the ranks and the challenges she faced along the way, from proving doubters wrong to defying the odds and making history." The documentary has been produced to celebrate Women's History Month. Fitch, who is still only 17, could eventually make the switch to pro wrestling now that she is under WWE's radar, and this would certainly be the ideal way of introducing her to the audience. This past week, AEW announced a brand new show which will air on YouTube named AEW Dark Elevation. The show has now been confirmed to be premiering on March 15th and will feature the Big Show Paul White on commentary. Speaking to the Wrestling Observer Radio, AEW President Tony Khan confirmed that AEW have another show coming, this time to TNT. He told the Observer, "It'll be 2 television shows and 2 streaming shows, which I think is very appropriate. Some of the most successful wrestling companies have fielded a couple of flagship shows and a couple of shows more for developmental and catering to fans. You'll have 2 Dark properties and 2 TNT properties. I'm really excited about it and we're ready for it. It was TNT's idea. I originally had the title Elevation and the executives made a great point. You don't want to create confusion with different brands. Elevation is an extension of Dark, so they essentially said, call it AEW Dark Elevation." With AEW having an ever-increasing roster, it certainly makes sense to be able to have plenty of TV time for the talent to show what they can do. It has been known for a while that AEW have planned on a second TNT show, and following the announcement of Elevation being shown on YouTube, there was some thinking that this idea had actually fell through, but it seems like the plans are still in place. Former WWE superstar Zelina Vega was fired on November 13th for breach of contract after she challenged WWE on their decision to stop talents taking part in third-party activities such as Twitch and OnlyFans. She had to wait out the usual 90-day no-compete clause and is now officially a free agent. Her 90 days ended on February the 11th, so a couple of weeks ago now. In the same interview we discussed earlier, Tony Khan spoke of Zelina Vega and the possibility of her heading to AEW in the future. When questioned, Tony replied, "She was in a non-compete last time I checked. I've been waiting for that. I don't talk to people when they have the non-compete. If hers expired, it must have just expired. When we get through this tournament and through this pay-per-view, I'd be interested to see where she's at." Zelina Vega, who would likely go under her real name of Tia Trinidad if she were to head to AEW, would be a fantastic addition to the women's roster. And it looks like Tony Khan might just agree with me. And if you're watching, Tony, can you try and get her husband as well? That'd be great. Let me know if you think AEW should sign Trinidad in the comments down below. AEW EVP and World Champion Kenny Omega was recently asked of his opinions of former WWE Champion Brock Lesnar on Twitter this past week, and it appears the cleaner is a big fan of the Beast. Twitter user HabirShekPW asked, "Okay, before I go to sleep, I want to ask, what's your opinion on Brock Lesnar and a future dream match?" To which Kenny responded, "Brock is one of the greatest athletes and performers of all time. I'd need more friends if I were to face him." Brock has been a free agent for a number of months after failing to agree terms with WWE on the renewal of his contract, although he would almost certainly never join AEW unless he was offered a boatload of money. And if you're enjoying the video so far, why not help me out and drop a like down below, and also subscribe as we try to reach 10,000 subscribers. But let's get back to the news. Both Omega and Lesnar are former IWGP heavyweight champions, although Brock's run in New Japan isn't looked at quite as fondly as Kenny's. Brock is absolutely one of the best storytellers in the business when he's motivated, as shown by his extraordinary match with Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series 2018. Omega versus Lesnar would 100% be a great match, but let's put this one in the highly unlikely category for now. But who knows, stranger things have happened. UFC megastar Conor McGregor has sent wrestling Twitter into frenzy following interactions between himself, NXT champion Finn Balor, and Triple H. It all started when Finn Balor posted a fun photo of the three men in figure form with an Irish flag draped around Balor, of course, because both Balor and McGregor are from Ireland. Conor quickly responded to his fellow countryman to say, "No more, Mr. Nice Guy." So I'm not entirely sure what he meant by this, but shortly after this brief exchange, Triple H told Conor, "Just say when." And it is currently unknown if this interaction was planned to build to a debut or whether it was just a series of off-the-cuff tweets, although of course it is more likely the latter. Whatever the case, it has certainly got the wrestling world talking. Conor is coming off the back of a number of defeats in both MMA and boxing and could well be looking towards pro wrestling in order to cash in on his fame. There has been rumours of Conor making the switch to WWE for years now and would no doubt fit perfectly well in pro wrestling, with his mic skills blowing the rest of the roster out of the water. He has gone on record to state that this generation of WWE superstars are, quote, pussies, and have nothing on the old school guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin and Ric Flair. He has also taken jabs directly at John Cena in the past. Whether this is his true feelings or whether he's working fans whilst keeping one eye on a WWE move is still not known. Conor has built his career around a pro wrestling-like persona and has become the most recognised fighter in MMA, with the ability to talk people into filling out arenas all over the world. However, his name value in the sport is slowly fading due to his recent record and his lack of time in the octagon whilst pursuing other ventures like a whiskey brand and boxing. On top of this, he has lost the respect of much of the MMA community due to his actions outside of the octagon. In my personal opinion, I don't think this is a sign of any matches in the works, although I could definitely see him take up a similar role to Mike Tyson in 1998, where he refereed a match between Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin, which helped launch Steve Austin into the stratosphere. With WWE keen to shake things up and with WrestleMania around the corner, you can bet they'd throw everything they have in order to bring Notorious to Stamford. Will Conor be at Mania 37? Let me know what you think in the comments down below.